The gigs in the barn. The old abandoned barn on the outskirts of town had always given people an uneasy feeling, but when the Johnson family moved in next door, they didn't think much of it. They were thrilled to have found such a great deal on a large, beautiful farm. But as soon as they started settling in, they began to notice strange things happening around the property. The sound of an axe chopping wood could be heard at all hours of the night, and objects would move on their own. The family tried to ignore it, thinking it was just their imagination playing tricks on them. But one day, the youngest Johnson child went exploring in the old barn and found an old axe covered in rust and blood stains. That's when the nightmares began. Every night, the family would be tormented by the same dream of a man in a black suit, holding the same bloody axe. He would be standing at the foot of their beds, staring at them with a twisted grin. The Johnsons soon learned the horrifying truth. The barn had been the site of a gruesome murder decades ago. The family had been brutally killed with an axe, and their bodies had been left to rot in the barn. The killer was never caught. As the family delved deeper into the history of their new home, they realized that the killer's spirit had never left. The axe was a cursed object, drawing the killer back to the property, seeking revenge on anyone who dared to live there. The Johnsons tried to leave, but they found that the killer's spirit had attached itself to them. They were trapped, unable to escape the vengeful ghost. The family started to fall apart, plagued by nightmares and haunted by the relentless spirit of the axe in the barn. As the night wore on, the storm outside grew more intense. The wind howled like a pack of wolves, and the rain lashed against the windows like a barrage of stones. And then suddenly, the power went out, leaving the family in complete darkness. They huddled together, hoping the storm would soon pass, but then they heard it, the sound of an axe chopping wood coming from the barn. The family froze, paralyzed with fear. But suddenly, the door to the house burst open, and in walked a figure wearing a black suit and hat, holding an old blood-stained axe. It was the ghost of the Hinterkaifeck killer, and he was coming for them. The family tried to run, but the ghost was too fast. He chased them through the house, swinging his axe wildly, the sound of his laughter echoing through the halls. They ran out into the storm, hoping to find safety, but the ghost was right behind them. They stumbled upon a small shed and huddled together inside, praying for the ghost to go away. But he didn't. He began to hack at the door with his axe, the wood splintering with each blow. The family knew they were trapped. They huddled together, waiting for the inevitable, and then suddenly the ghost stopped. The storm outside died down, and the family cautiously peeked out of the shed. There was no sign of the ghost, and the old blood-stained axe lay on the ground, gleaming in the moonlight. The family never found out what happened to the Hinterkaifeck killer's spirit, but they never forgot the terror they experienced that night. At the Shadows of Hinterkaifeck, the night was cold and dark as the group of friends gathered at the edge of the Hinterkaifeck farmstead. The old wooden buildings loomed before them, their windows shattered and doors creaking in the wind. Despite the warnings of the locals, they had decided to explore the abandoned farm, eager to uncover its secrets. As they entered the main farmhouse, they were struck by an overwhelming sense of unease. The air was thick with the musty smell of decay, and the floorboards creaked beneath their feet. They explored the dusty rooms, their flashlights casting eerie shadows on the walls. But as they ventured deeper into the farmhouse, they began to feel a presence watching them. Strange shadows danced along the walls, and the sound of footsteps echoed through the empty rooms. The friends grew more and more uneasy, but they pushed on, determined to uncover the secrets of Hinterkaifeck. It wasn't long before they stumbled upon an old diary, hidden away in a dusty corner. As they flipped through its pages, their blood ran cold. The diary chronicled the horrific murders of the Gruber family, who had once lived on the farmstead. The killer had never been caught, and the diary suggested that the family's spirits still lingered in the farmstead, seeking revenge. And suddenly, the sound of footsteps grew louder, and the friends knew they had to escape. But as they made their way towards the exit, they realized that the ghostly presence was not the only danger in Hinterkaifeck. The farmhouse was alive with shadows, which seemed to twist and writhe in the darkness. The friends heard the sound of a rusty old scythe being sharpened in the distance, and knew that they were being hunted by the vengeful spirit of the Gruber family. As they ran through the deserted farmstead, the shadows closed in around them, their eyes flickering with malevolent energy. The group frantically searched for a way out, but the farmstead seemed to shift and change around them, its walls twisting and turning like a maze. Just when they thought all was lost, they stumbled upon an old root cellar, hidden beneath a pile of rubble. They hastily climbed down the steep stairs, their hearts pounding with fear. But as they reached the bottom of the cellar, they realized their mistake. The cellar was filled with the rotting remains of the Gruber family, and the killer was waiting for them. As the shadows closed in, the friends knew that they would never leave Hinterkaifeck alive. Their screams echoed through the darkness, and their bones joined the others in the cellar, a silent testament to the horrors of the farmstead. The days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, but no one came looking for the group of friends who had ventured into Hinterkaifeck. Their families assumed they had run away or gotten lost in the wilderness, never imagining the horrors that had befallen them. As the years passed, the farmstead fell into further disrepair, the shadows growing darker and more twisted with each passing day. The locals whispered that the spirits of the Gruber family still haunted the farmstead, seeking revenge on any who dared to venture too close. But one day, a group of thrill seekers stumbled upon the abandoned farmstead. They too had heard the rumors about Hinterkaifeck, and they were eager to explore the cursed grounds. As they entered the main farmhouse, they were struck by an overwhelming sense of dread. The air was thick with the musty smell of decay, and the shadows seemed to shift and writhe in the darkness, but they pressed on, determined to uncover the secrets of Hinterkaifeck. As they explored the dusty rooms, they stumbled upon an old diary, hidden away in a corner. As they read its pages, their blood ran cold. The diary chronicled the murders of the Gruber family and hinted at the presence of a vengeful spirit that still roamed the farmstead. Suddenly, the shadows began to move, and the group realized that they were not alone. The killer was back, and it was hungry for more victims. One by one, the thrill seekers were picked off by the vengeful spirit, their screams echoing through the darkness. Those who managed to escape were never the same again, haunted by the shadows that had taken their friends. In the end, Hinterkaifeck remained a cursed and haunted place, its secrets lost to time. The shadows still moved along its walls, and the sound of footsteps could still be heard in empty rooms. The locals warned people to stay away, but some were drawn to the farmstead, their curiosity overwhelming their fear. And so the cycle continued, with new victims falling prey to the shadows of Hinterkaifeck, their bones joining the others in the dark, forgotten cellar. The Harvest of Hinterkaifeck. The couple arrived at the farm, eager to start their honeymoon in the peaceful countryside. The farmstead was nestled in a valley surrounded by rolling hills, and the sun set in a blaze of orange and red behind the distant mountains. But as they settled into their new home, they began to notice strange things happening. The crops in the fields were withering, and strange noises could be heard coming from the surrounding woods at night. They shrugged it off as the natural quirks of farm life, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something was not quite right. One night, as they sat by the fire, they discovered an old book hidden in the attic. The pages were filled with ancient symbols and incantations, and as they read through it, they began to realize that the farm's previous owners had been involved in dark rituals to appease an ancient entity. The couple tried to leave the farm, but they found themselves trapped by an invisible force that seemed to be keeping them there. As the harvest moon rose, they realized that they had unwittingly become a part of the sacrifice that was needed to appease the entity that haunted the farm. The farm came alive with malevolent forces. The couple found themselves fighting for their lives against an onslaught of supernatural horrors. They ran through the fields, chased by shadows and demonic spirits, but they could not escape the grasp of the ancient entity that had been awoken by their presence. As they reached the farmhouse, they were confronted by a group of rogue figures who had come to complete the sacrifice. The couple fought back with all their strength, but they were no match for the dark powers that the cult had summoned. In the end, the farm fell silent, and the couple was never seen again. The fields lay barren, the farmhouse empty, and the only sound was the mournful howl of the wind as it swept across the valley. Years later, a group of hikers stumbled upon the abandoned farmstead, but they quickly fled when they heard strange noises coming from the fields. They knew that they had stumbled upon the site of an ancient and malevolent entity, and that the harvest of Hinterkaifeck was not yet complete. The hikers spread rumors about the cursed farmstead, warning others to stay away. But some were drawn to the allure of the mystery, and they ventured into the valley, seeking answers to the strange happenings that had been reported. One group of adventurers, determined to uncover the truth, entered the farmhouse armed with flashlights and cameras. As they explored the dusty rooms, they found the old book that the previous couple had discovered. As they read through the pages, they realized the terrifying truth. The ancient entity that had been summoned by the previous owners of the farm was still lurking, waiting for its next sacrifice, and now the group of adventurers had unknowingly become a part of the ritual. As the harvest moon rose once again, the group found themselves trapped in the farmhouse, surrounded by the malevolent forces that had claimed the lives of those before them. They fought back with everything they had, but the dark entity was too powerful. One by one, the adventurers fell to its supernatural powers, their screams echoing through the abandoned farmstead. In the end, only one person managed to escape, barely alive and forever haunted by the horrors of Hinterkaifeck. The farmstead remained abandoned, a cursed and forsaken place, its secrets lost to time. But whispers still circulated about the strange happenings in the valley, and some claimed to have heard eerie sounds coming from the abandoned farmstead. The legend of the Harvest of Hinterkaifeck lived on, a chilling reminder of the malevolent forces that lurked in the shadows of the world.